Those Pokemon that don't like going in the Pokeballs. 7. Pikachu. Everyone should be well aware of this one. Since its debut, it has absolutely hated going into a Pokeball. The only time it ever went into a Pokeball was in the movie I Choose You. Facing numerous Pokemon controlled by Marshadow, Ash, in order to protect Pikachu, was forced to recall it into its Pokeball. The movie also explained why Pikachu doesn't want to go into its Pokeball, and it was also the only time Pikachu ever spoke words. 6. Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet was accidentally traded into Jessie's hands. It chooses its own moves to reflect its opponent's attacks. Its claim to fame came from the Hoopa movie, where single-handedly it deflected Giratina's Shadow Ball, forcing Giratina to flee to dodge the attack. As a Pokemon carried by Jessie long-term, Wobbuffet often pops out after Team Rocket's motto to deliver its iconic catchphrase. Later on, in the Sun and Moon series, Jessie rarely puts it back in its Pokeball either. The four of them usually make their appearance together. 5. Rowlet. Rowlet also doesn't like staying in a Pokeball. It prefers to snuggle up inside Ash's backpack, but if Ash doesn't have his backpack with him, Rowlet will choose to stay inside the Pokeball instead. Actually, starting from the Sun and Moon series, there have been many more instances of Pokemon not staying in their Pokeballs. For example, the Pokemon of the 3 female leads in Alola are mostly carried in their arms or follow closely by their sides. 4. Axew. Since Axew's debut in the Best Wishes series until the very end when Iris headed to Saffron City, it almost never went inside a Pokeball. Axew normally hid inside Iris's hair or stood on her shoulder. You have to admit, all these trainers are remarkably strong. When it appeared again later in the Journey series, Axew had already fully evolved into Haxorus. Due to the massive change in its size, it now had to be kept inside a Pokeball. 3. Piplup. As the starter Pokemon for the female counterpart to Ash, Piplup shares many similar traits with Pikachu. From initially disliking its trainer to later experiencing battles alongside Dawn, it gradually began to accept her. Even its reason for not evolving is the same as Pikachu's. It wants to stay in the form Dawn first met it to accompany her forever. It was almost written as a carbon copy of Pikachu's personality. Throughout the Diamond and Pearl journey, Piplup rarely went into its Pokeball. 2. Togepi. Togepi was hatched from an egg by Ash and the others. Because the first person it saw was Misty, it always followed Misty after that. But in reality, it was because of censorship at the time. Togepi was created to act as a cover for Misty's midriff. That's why it was always held in Misty's arms. Until episode 45 of the Advanced Generation series, after Togepi evolved into Togekiss, it was finally left by Misty in the Togepi Paradise to protect the kingdom and the other Togepi in the paradise. 1. Meowth. Meowth is probably the first talking Pokemon in the anime. Once, Meowth fell in love with a female Meowth. For love, he worked hard to learn how to speak and walk. However, Cupid's arrow didn't strike him. The Meowth named Meowsy rejected him and chose Persian instead. Ultimately, Meowth turned to the dark side and joined Team Rocket. Logically speaking, Meowth should still be considered a wild Pokemon. In the anime, he has never been successfully caught in a Pokeball. In the Best Wishes series, Meowth temporarily joined Ash and the others. Iris had a huge interest in Meowth and tried to catch him in a Pokeball several times, but wasn't successful. In episode 78 of the XY series, Pikachu also threw a Pokeball at Meowth. If that catch had been successful, the combination of Pikachu and Meowth would be a thrilling scene to imagine.